It's different when you realize that shadows are being revealed as a result of the light. When you realize that, rather than you thinking that shadows are being revealed around you because there's something wrong with you, that you are the problem, which is why you are experiencing all of these shadows. It's different when you realize that shadows are revealed as a result of light. You stop demonizing yourself. Many of us light seeds, star seeds, earth angels, light workers, healers, go through a set or series of experiences and experience such heavy, dense, dark projections that we start to identify as the problem, the reason, and the reason and the rhyme, the thing that's supposed to fix everything. So we blame ourselves and almost change ourselves. And sometimes that can go really wrong. Sometimes some of the light beings turn out to fall into their darkness because they are almost condemn themselves. They identify with what they're experiencing. If they don't have the strength to push past the ego's experience of those projections. Oh, it's a heavy one. It's only when you're willing to shed the ego and look beyond the experience that you can realize who you are in the exchange and why those energies are surfacing up. When you start to acknowledge your own shadows and why you're identifying with the projections you're experiencing, you're able to re-empower yourself, reignite your power, because all the projections that you receive that make you punish yourself are energies and frequencies and shadows that live within you that you haven't dealt with, you haven't called out, you haven't exposed and reframed. It's like you're going through something as a child or something that causes you to judge yourself or blame yourself, shame yourself. And once you've identified with that experience and then buried it because you don't want to deal with that emotion, later on down the line when you keep repeating the same cycles because you're genuinely manifesting your shadows, until you deal with them, you keep manifesting them. They're going to keep showing up as a reflection for you until you identify that the shadow that was formed was because you didn't allow yourself to feel your emotions and you weren't able to detach from the experience of the emotions. You are not your emotions. So whatever was projected onto you belonged to the person projecting it, essentially. The only reason it was able to affect you is because you then identified with it and kept it as your own. You kept it as a belief that you then stored and have operated since in your life, in your 3D reality, in your living experience. You've used those beliefs, those stored traumas, those shadows, as you've used them as almost, I want to say a projector. You've used them as like a window, like a navigator for how you perceive life, a measure of how you now operate in the world, how you observe things. You understand? So it's in you recognizing and you realizing that the shadows are exposed as a result of the light. It's different when you realize that, because then you understand who you are in the equation and you don't identify any longer with what you're experiencing. You'd rather ask the question, where is that energy coming from? Where does it stem from? Who does it belong to? You know, is it yours or is it not yours? And if you do resonate with it, where does that come from? Where does that come from in your story, in your experience that you've lived so far? Where can you trail back the dots? It's like a breadcrumb. Follow the rabbit, you know? And it will show you and reveal to you a moment where you identified with that experience, or someone projected that upon you, and then you felt an emotion that made you feel some type of way, which means you embodied something in that moment. And all you have to do is wrench it up, purge that shit, feel what you need to feel so you can release it, because you're no longer identifying with it. At this present moment, you'd be identifying with it if you are affected by someone else's shadows being projected upon you, someone else's perceptions, whatever belongs to someone else, it doesn't belong to you. If they project it towards you and you react to it, it's because it's within you somewhere. Whereas if someone projects something at you that doesn't belong to you, you're able to allow that person to sit within their own energy and help them recognize that that is something they need to heal. Because you are not going to breathe life into an energy that lowers your frequency. Why would you do that? As the light, if you've healed that shadow, you no longer are vulnerable to it. And you're able to assist someone else in healing their own. It's not your responsibility, however, but you are able to heal others because you're no longer going to take responsibility for someone else's shit. Ashe? It's definitely a word.